What were the standout premieres at the 2026 Brussels Motor Show? Which model won European Car of the Year? And how does the event influence Belgium's new car market? This is the Automotive Update, presented by Autovista24. Hello and welcome to the Automotive Update. I'm the editor of Autovista24, Tom Geggus. Now, last week we took a deep dive into CES, and we're back this week with even more events insights. Tom Hooker, Autovista24 journalist, has recently returned from the Brussels Motor Show and is going to help me unpack his highlights. Hi Tom, how are you getting on?
Hey Tom, it's great to be here. I have to say I'm feeling very lucky to be sitting in a nice and warm room right now because it was absolutely freezing in Brussels. But thankfully in Brussels, there was somewhere else that was warm for us to stay, which was the many halls of the Brussels Expo. So very excited to jump into the various things that I saw there.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to hearing about what you saw in those halls. Now, you have already written a rundown of the model premieres at the Brussels Motor Show. And listeners, if you haven't read it yet, there will be a link in the show notes. But Tom, maybe you could take us through your highlights. If you could narrow it down to just 10 models for us, which ones really stood out to you?
Well, that's not exactly an easy thing to do, Tom, but I'll try my best. I think let's start with the world premieres, and I'll begin with the Kia EV2. This is a very important car in the small EV segment, which is continuing to grow in size, especially in Europe. It could end up rivaling the likes of the Renault 4, the Ford Puma Gen-E, and the Volkswagen ID Polo, among others. Then there was the Opel Astra, and this was a refresh of a best-selling model, especially in the UK under the Vauxhall brand. It was presented alongside the Astra Sports Tourer. You also had the Mercedes GLB, which celebrated its world premiere at the event, and this incorporates the new illuminated front panel, which we also saw on the GLC. Another brand with an international debut at the event was Peugeot, and they displayed their new 408. It's going to be available as a battery electric vehicle, a plug-in hybrid, and a mild hybrid as well. And as some of you may know, the model's previous generations in Europe are very popular.
Interesting stuff. Now, you mentioned there were a lot of European premieres as well.
There certainly was. So if you follow our EV Volumes content, I'm going to shamelessly plug it here, you'll know that the Tesla Model 3 has seen some quite inconsistent volumes in 2025, while the Tesla Model Y has performed very strongly. Now, the brand used the Brussels Motor Show to unveil the Model 3 Standard, and this is the most affordable Tesla to date. So it could end up being a very, very high-selling model. Then there was the BYD Atto 2 DMI. This is a plug-in hybrid SUV which offers a WLTP combined range of up to 1,000 kilometers. Another European premiere at the event was the MG S6. And the last European premiere I want to touch on is the Leapmotor BO3X. This is the car maker's first model to be developed on a new global platform, and it enters an increasingly crowded B SUV segment.
And did you have any other picks lastly, Tom?
Yeah, actually, my last two picks are concept cars. So one of the world premieres at the event was the Citroën ELO. The model's interior is intended to be used as a real living space. For example, it can be turned into a sleeping space for two people, a home cinema, or a power supply. Also at the event was the Hyundai Concept 3. This was finally confirmed as the precursor to the Ioniq 3. The compact BEV could turn out to be a very popular model. Now, I've only briefly mentioned two concepts here, but there's going to be more on the subject from Phil Curry, who's going to be writing a piece on Autovista24.
Another nice plug, Tom. There was another model which gained a lot of attention at the Brussels Motor Show. And of course, I'm talking about the winner of the European Car of the Year award. Now, for those who might not have heard, who did win?
It was the Mercedes-Benz CLA. This was actually only the second time the car maker has won the award in its 62-year history.
So what kind of things did the judges actually look for when they awarded the CLA European Car of the Year?
It's definitely not an easy decision to make. The panel of senior motoring journalists across 23 countries made their votes based on the following criteria: design, comfort, safety, economy, handling, performance, functionality, environmental requirements, driver satisfaction, and price. Now, it's worth noting here that technical innovation and value for money are particularly important factors when it comes to deciding the winner. The Mercedes-Benz CLA was unsurprisingly the model that received the most first places from the judges, with 22 in total. The Citroën C5 Aircross was the favourite of 15 journalists on the jury.
You mentioned the C5 Aircross there, Tom. Could you give us a bit more info on the other models the CLA was up against?
I think it's safe to say it had some formidable competition. Most of the finalists were fully electric, and all of them had electrified features. The Skoda Elroq came second, and this was followed by the Kia EV4. The Citroën C5 Aircross came fourth, and fifth was the Fiat Grande Panda. Rounding out the finalists was the Dacia Bigster in sixth and the Renault 4 in seventh.
Phil Curry was able to secure some interviews with Søren Rasmussen, the president of the jury, and Oliver Locher from Mercedes-Benz, and that's available in a video on Autovista 24. And if you want to watch this or read Tom's coverage, just head to the show notes. I'll make sure there's some links. And sign up for our email. There is a form at the bottom of our homepage. That way you can get even more coverage of the Brussels Motor Show directly to your inbox. And if there are any other events you would like us to cover, leave us a comment on Spotify or reach out to us on LinkedIn. Check out our YouTube channel as well. You'll find our What is Explainer videos, launch report insights, and webinar recordings there. Our next live webinar will take place on the 21st of January and is going to outline our residual value expectations. And of course, subscribe to the Autovista 24 podcast wherever you listen to us. But Tom, Brussels Motor Show does seem to have picked up traction with a lot of international attention, but it's also a really significant event for Belgium and its automotive market. Could you walk us through why that is?
Yeah, it's a great question, Tom, and you hit the nail on the head. Brussels Motor Show has certainly gained a lot of international attention over the last few years, but it's also important to recognise one of the main reasons why the show exists. If we take a step back for a second, Belgium is quite a unique market when it comes to how new car sales are distributed throughout the year. January and February, which are commonly lower volume months in Europe's other new car markets, see high sales activity in Belgium. In fact, some of the car makers I spoke to at the event said that sales from these 2 months alone typically make up anywhere from 30 to 35% of their full year total.
So what is the reason for this?
Well, it's something known as the Brussels Motor Show period. During these first 2 months of the year, a lot of leads are generated from the event, which are then passed on to local dealers. But unlike dealerships, customers are able to browse models without feeling that commercial pressure of having to buy a car immediately. And additionally, even if prospective buyers don't visit the event, they can also benefit from seasonal discounts and promotions around that motor show period. In fact, Julien Libiol, Communication and Public Affairs Manager at Ford Motor Company Belux, told me that buyers are waiting as early as summer for the Brussels Motor Show to find a good deal. As you can see, it's clearly ingrained into the Belgian automotive ecosystem, and it also influences the car buying mindset in the country.
And is this additional sales activity coming from one sector, one point in the market in particular?
It is indeed. So it's worth pointing out that the Belgian new car market is dominated by fleets. However, most sales that follow the event are actually from the private channel. Some car makers told me during the event that around half of their full year private sales are recorded between January and February. The interesting thing here is that the private market in Belgium still has a strong appetite for petrol, diesel, and hybrid models. So in turn, this means car makers are heavily incentivized to show a wide range of models and powertrains at the show, not just their latest plug-in hybrid or battery electric models.
So then, Tom, if you had to summarise the event in just 3 words, what would they be?
Wow, it's not an easy question to answer. I think my first word would be growing. It's maybe a cliche word to say, but the show is definitely growing in international stature. The second word I would say is functional, because it forms a vital part of the Belgian automotive market. And the third word is unique. Because of that sales focus, we don't really see something akin to the Brussels Mode show anywhere else in Europe.
A great 3 words to end on. And with that, a big thank you to Autovista 24 journalist Tom Hooker for appearing in and co-producing this episode. Additional thanks go to special content editor Phil Curry and web editor James Roberts. The music was Better Find a Solution Fast by Richard Ames. Thank you very much for listening to the Autovista 24 podcast.